I know, sir. Maybe you're getting completed. Yeah. As I was walking up to the rostrum, DG Caps told me, keep your closing remarks very short. I told DG, I said, why are you telling me this? All the chairs have exceeded their time, but he insisted. So I'm going to be very brief. And most of the chairs have summed up whatever they had to sum up. There were some of the issues which are still open-ended. Maybe some of them I will try and cover. I think in today's seminar, we have covered a great spectrum of subjects, technologies. We heard the chief. He told us in the morning that he talked about the future technologies. He also spoke how the Indian Air Force is backing indigenization, Atmanirbharta, Make in India in a big way. And that's why we covered here today technologies, whether it was space, with cyber, electronic warfare, whether it was hypersonics, AI, and we looked at the aircraft program. We are very happy to hear that the LCA program is now under control. We heard it from the horse's mouth. The director, combat aircraft, Director Ada, he himself told us, and he's very nicely explained the evolution, how from LCA Mark 1A, and how we are going to the AMCA and the twin engine deck based fighter. And some facts and figures, I must tell you that today 30% of the LCA is being outsourced to the private industry, not indigenization. Of course, we are close to 70% indigenization, as he mentioned, because important things like the engine are still from outside, and also our ISA radar is presently with the Israelis, but made in India. That apart, the production is still around 12 aircraft, and there is a need to increase the production to 16 and more, considering the depletion of aeroplanes and fighter squadrons in the Air Force. And still there is a need for perhaps 114 aircraft, for which the RFP has still to go, and for us to get the numbers. But we were very happy that Bill told us that the future of fighters is still with the man in the cockpit, and will happen for next 30 to 40 years. I yesterday only completed an article on single pilot airliners, and I must tell you, even that is 15 to 20 years away. So that's the level of... we had a very interesting discourse on air defense, the future of air defense, complex, multi-domain. There was this question about the Air Defense Command, and let me put my neck, in spite of that, he said that there is a grenade without the pin, but let me put my neck there. The Americans, the Russians, the Chinese, none has got an Air Defense Command. There are four major air forces that we all look up to. And there are serious issues. If you tomorrow would want to also have a theater, it will be extremely complex for the theater command to have an air defense command fellow floating up on top. There are many complexities. A large number, at least 25 papers have been written by retired air marshals on what are the complexities of air defense command. And I think there needs a little more deliberations, also because of the multi-role aircraft and many other things that go towards air defense command. And within the army, there are a large number of people, including future theater commanders, saying, how can you have an air defense command on top of us? So I think there is a need for deliberation on that. The aircraft production indigenization, the ecosystem, I think, is very nicely getting placed. We were only worried about the transport side because Saras was moving slowly, but with C295 will now start getting manufactured 3 years down the line in India. I think, the ecosystem on that account is going to get settled. There was a suggestion by some speaker, I think by Sudan, Admiral Sudan, that joint venture is a great route. Joint venture actually has worked out beautifully, whether it was with the Israelis for the radars or BrahMos and some other areas where we have had joint ventures. Maybe we're looking for a good joint venture for aero engine. I must tell you that we in CAPS are carrying out a study. It is a funded chair of research. How should be the roadmap ahead for engines? We also are doing a study on hypersonics, for which Marshal Hora is doing the study, and he gave us a talk. So therefore, I don't need to say anything more on that. I'm also very happy that the private sector is doing very well. It's a start. It's a late start, but I think they've got into most departments. Recently we had a talk, not in this seminar, we told that from head to tail, everything of a missile is being made by private sector in India. Everything, the entire missile is being made in India. So there is, but yes, as Marshal Daljit mentioned, electronic warfare, with lots of action. We are sorry first that we gave you two subjects, cyber and electronic warfare, in a single talk, which was too wide. But electronic warfare is an area where I think perhaps a little more needs to be done. I was very happy when General Bhatt told us about the space program. We are, I think, doing very well, but number of space launches have to go up. The Chinese are already having more launches for the last 3 years, continuously every year. They're having more launches than the Americans. And therefore, I think that we need to have more launches. And as he mentioned, clusters, constellations. I was happy to hear for the first time that there's a constellation going to be launched by our own private sector companies, because that will reduce the dwell time, that will give us better accuracy. And of course, we are looking at satellites, which will be launched at short notice, satellite on call. Capability exists, and we hope that things will happen faster. But the issue that got highlighted is that the three, cyber, electronic warfare, and space, perhaps need to be put together, like the Chinese have done for the SSF, the strategic support forces. Maybe we will have to also look at that kind of a combination. We all saw these 1,000 drones being launched during the beating the retreat. And I met the guys who manufactured it. We all know that IIT Delhi did the engineering part of it, but it was manufactured by a small company in a suburb in Delhi, cost 8,000 rupees per drone. That's all. And it's been done in India by one of the local manufacturers. I don't know where he got the design from, but the fact that it was manufactured in one of the suburbs here in Delhi, and that was very encouraging. Of course, we are waiting for DRDO's Tapas and Ghatak and all these bigger, UAVs to get to our, flight lines, and we hope that happens, faster than it is. The HAL has already shown us the unmanned teaming. They've shown us a model at least. We are waiting for the CATs to get operational so that it gets inducted and we actually start using operationally. The HTT-40 and IJT is another area of indigenization that we are waiting for the Air Force to get. DRDO has taken on the job of AEW&C, bigger one, 3109, Airbus 3109, 319 based, and we hope that also, comes up very soon. The LCA Mark 1A first flight was supposed to be in March this year. That means in the coming month. Whether it will actually happen or not, I'm not very sure. They're very ambitious to say that LCA Mark II will fly in December next year. We are keeping our fingers crossed, but I was very happy generally that the way it is, being planned at least. DRDO recently had this successful launch of the smart anti-aircraft weapon SAW. Not recently, about a year back, has been, it was released till about 100 kilometers range. I think that's another very good thing. And they are coming out with more glide bombs, and that's another thing we are all looking at. Paul Newell talked about the manufacturing technologies, 3D manufacturing, spares on call. That is where the future is. Modularity. Modularity is already visible in the LCA and AMCA programs. Commonality of space is something that I think is going to be very important. DRDO has tried to hand over the technologies to the private sector. How well and how beautifully it's working, only time is going to tell. Innovation is the most important investment that the country needs to do. Yes, R&D funds have been increased. 25% of the entire R&D budget for this year have been given to startups and academia, and that I hope will bring a new trend, because innovation is and R&D are very, very critical. Lastly, I want to tell you that despite the tail end of COVID, we have been able to manage a reasonably a decent-sized, event. I can still see that there are at least, if I may count, about 60 people still hanging on after the late lunch and the last session. And the entire Indian Air Force was logged in. That the service has made sure. This organizing such an event, of course, requires a great amount of work. Firstly, I must compliment the chairs and the panelists for the outstanding work. Some of the people did fantastic. I forgot to mention about the AI part of it. I greatly enjoyed that one presentation. I was hoping the 15 minutes will not be over because I knew about the 3 Cs, but the cognitive part of it was so important. I never knew, and that was extremely interesting too. Most importantly, I must thank Marshal Anil Gulani, Additional Director General of CAPS, and his entire team, Group Captain Mathur, and all the youngsters, the people who came on the rostrum, for putting this whole event together. And I will request each one of you to put your hands together for all these fellows who did a great job. So till the next time, stay safe, remain focused on Atmanirbharta, and Jai Hind, and thank you so very much, especially the very senior people who are still with us till the last moment. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
I'll request the CAPS faculty to stay back for 5 minutes more.